should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Confidential crews show the incredible range of everything that goes on related to the tournament, the emotions and the feelings and the good times and the sad times.
Yeah, I think overall, everyone's path is different. Not only in life, but in basketball. Not only in basketball, but in life. You know, it takes different turns, different twists, and how you get there, and the destination might be the same, but how you get there could be different. And that's what it shows, and that's what this tournament shows. That's why people are enamored by it. That's why people follow it. That's why Cinderella starts, and that's why Goliath lives there.
It was what a game. Newman just absolute money in this one. Grayson Allen tried to take over at
Great
the
shot
end.
at the end he got.
Oh,
It almost went in twice. It almost went in twice.
Then coming toward the end of overtime, he started. You know, he was cold and was popping the threes. Did you think, and you were just talking about how they were, but don't you still go into him to create, to have him go back out with it? Should it start in with him?
Well, they did go into him down the stretch. Duval got that open three in the corner,
Yeah.
and like if I'm Marvin back, I can't give that ball up. You get it there, you got to force the official to make a call and attack. But they defended him early, and I used to have a saying: ball pressure buys time. And what I mean by that is, if I can pressure the basketball, I can buy that post defender just a little bit of time to fight, get around the front, or force that post offensive player away from the basket. They had excellent ball pressure, Kansas, which bought Gerald Vick a little bit of time to be a little physical, or Svi Mikhailuk a little physical with Bagley, forced him off the block a little bit. Yeah, he needed to work a little harder, for sure, but 18 shots between the two bigs, 47 shots from their perimeter guys. Every three-point shot Duke took was a win for the Kansas defense. And then Kansas out-rebounds Duke.
Which had been a problem for them all year long.
Yeah.
But you know what? Because the game got up and down, guys. Because the faster the game got, the better it was for Kansas. Even when Duke was making shots, it was good for Kansas. Because when the game's going up and down, now rebounding is out of quickness, right? Long shots, long rebounds. The quicker player gets to the basketball, and then bam, they're going back the other way. Even though they weren't scoring a ton in transition, just the ability to speed that game up was huge.
The best and worst part of the Final Four we put up on Golic and Wingo. Brian says best part is Duke is not in.
Yeah,
there you go.
A lot of people feel that way. They do. But you know what? It was almost if that's the way you feel,
Yep.
You almost had the nightmare scenario because Grayson Allen, who the player people love to hate, if you don't like Duke, he had that ball looked like it was going to go in twice.
And he had a bad game, too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you threw up the winner? A buzzer-beating winner, basically. Steve said best and worst part of the Final Four, Loyola making the Blue Bloods look foolish. All that money for the best talent, and here comes little Loyola. Little Loyola. I like that. Best part is the Cinderella story. Worst is my bracket died round one.
Well, I can confirm that, having had Arizona in the championship game, so I feel your pain.
We have to get into our bracket here on Golic and Wingo, the staff. We have our loser. And basically, if we had no tournament and just said the staff has a loser, it would be the same person anyway.
Yeah. And he's, by the way, I don't think there's any way he won't be in.
No, he is.
Locked in.
He's locked in. We'll get to that and exactly what he has to do. Pete says the best, Loyola spends as much on their basketball program as Ohio State's lacrosse program. Shows you don't have to go hog wild to win. Well, there's hog wild to win, and then there's hog wild to win consistently.
Correct.
And that's there's certainly a difference there.
Those are two completely different things, no question about it.
Daniel says, where can I find the Loyola Chicago bandwagon? I want on Sister Jean for life. Sister Jean.
Nuns on the run, baby.
Man,
She's got her own sneakers.
Prayer Force One.
You see her in the post game presser with the hat backwards.
Incredible.
I mean, get ready.
Yeah.
I mean, Sister Jean is all in right now, people, and we'll tell you why. But that is the point now, isn't it? This is a wonderful run Loyola has been on. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Let's assume they lose to Michigan.
Okay.
What will you remember more 20 years from now? Loyola as an 11th seed making it to the Final Four, or UMBC taking down a number one as a 16th seed?
Oh, I think it'll be the number one seed losing to a 16.
Right?
Yeah.
So for this to actually work, for it to be everything that we say it is already, they have to win it all.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's just VCU. Or it's
This
George
has been done
Mason.
3 other times. VCU in 11, George Mason in 06, and LSU in 86. Yes. 11 seeds making it to the Final Four, because still we know the lowest seed is the 8 seed Villanova,
right?
When they won it. So yeah, if they don't, it will be remembered for the first time, because this isn't the first time in history this happened, but it is the first time in the history of the tournament that a 16 beat a 1. So that would be the headline coming out after, you know, who the champion is. That would be it, unless Loyola goes on and wins this thing. I would agree.
So here's the interesting thing about who they play in the semifinal game, in the Final Four. I think Michigan is the perfect team for them to play, because Loyola is based in Chicago. That is the heart of Big Ten country. And you know, all these kids that are on Loyola always see the Big Ten schools probably as where they feel they should be. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're Porter Moser, and we'll ask him about this, he'll join us at 9:30. This is really the perfect type of school for Loyola to play, because it's another chance for them to wear that chip on their shoulder and say, hey, listen, they get all the money. Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan State, the big schools, yada, yada, yada. They get all the praise. They get all the glory. We have to deal and be in their shadow all the time. Here is our chance to go, no, you're in our shadow now. And I don't think you can overstate that when it comes to how Loyola will approach this game mentally. It is a huge bargaining chip, or a huge advantage on their shoulders.
It's always that question in college football.
Bargaining chip. Yeah, we're not bargaining here.
Take that break and play the small teams, and the small teams get paid for it.
No bargaining.
And I always say those, when they say, "Oh, is that fair?" Those guys, those players from the smaller schools, they relish that opportunity. They're like, you know what? We wanted to go there. Maybe we weren't looked at by those schools. This is our chance to see, how do I match up with that guy? That guy that was a 5-star, I certainly wasn't that. How do I match up? In one game, what do I get to do against that guy? So absolutely there's that pride factor of, you know what, for all Loyola has to do, each of these games, is be as good or better than that team they're playing.
Correct.
And then the next game, and all they have to do is be a little bit better than Michigan. That's it. One game at a time. That's exactly the role they're going.
And the way these guys are playing at Loyola, to your point, I don't think they say, I want to see how I match up. I think they're thinking, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you I'm better than you. And quite frankly, with the way things have devolved, for lack of a better term, around college basketball, with what happened at the end of the regular season and the story about the FBI probe and all the coaches that were involved, this is exactly what the tournament needs. They need a Loyola-type team to go on and win. Because, look, the Blue Bloods are great most years. But when you have a situation like this, it's very reminiscent, Mike, of 1983, when North Carolina State came out of nowhere and shocked Phi Slamma Jamma, the University of Houston. That team was loaded, man. They were far and away the best team in the country. They had the best players, but they didn't win because North Carolina State and Jim Valvano became legends. Then 2 years later, in 1985, you have Hoya Paranoia at its peak. Patrick Ewing and everybody else, John Thompson. And what happens? Little Villanova with Raleigh Massimino as an 8 seed. Harold Jensen shoots everything. They shoot 72% from the floor without a three-point line and shock one of the biggest, baddest teams on the planet. I think the tournament needs an upset like that to sort of be rejuvenated and get everybody to buy in again.
No, we're going to find out. And if you see it, if they win, you'll see Sister Jean's face everywhere on shirts and bobbleheads.
As the way it should
be.
By the way, one thing.